Okay, cool. Thank you. Cool. Thanks for the intro, and thanks everyone for joining. I'm very happy to be with you tonight or today, depending on your time zone. As Rohan mentioned, my name is Ahmed and I work at Google. I spend most of my time working on applied ML problems, which means I try to use ML to solve problems rather than doing research on ML. I had some background in academia as well, where I spent some time doing teaching and research for ML topics as well. So let me get started by sharing my screen with you to get started on today's content. Let's see. So let me know if you can see my screen, just to make sure that the setup is
We can
proper.
see your screen, Ahmed.
Okay, cool. Thanks for the confirmation. Okay, cool. What are productivity tools? Let's get big because today's topic is about productivity tools. For the context of GenAI, I want people to put their thoughts on the chat. When people say productivity tools for programming or for software engineering or for tech in general, what is the first thing that comes into your mind? I want to hear people's thoughts. So please put your answers in the chat. When we say productivity tools for software engineers, what is the first thing that comes into your mind? LMs, cursors and IDE, code completion tools, Copilot, cursor, code generation, ChatGPT, Copilot, ChatGPT, something to reduce time and increase efficiency, cursor, Claude, Copilot, Python, ChatGPT, vibe coding, ChatGPT again, automation. Okay, I think everyone is getting more or less on the point that we were trying to make. That productivity tools actually 5 years ago meant completely different things. The scene was completely different. Nowadays, if you ask anyone when I say productivity tool, what is the first thing that comes in your mind? It will be more or less related to GenAI. Some people will say cursor. Some people will say using ChatGPT to cut down the time for debugging or figuring out the right syntax for a specific API, and all of these variants. Few years ago, it was completely different. Actually, it was the best thing that people hoped for was autocomplete. There was some productivity tools around compilers and suggestions to fix code or optimization for the code, but it wasn't that. It wasn't basically based on all sorts of automation that we see now. And it's worth actually taking a pause and see how the scene have evolved since 2015, which is only 10 years ago. And 10 years and like for like is not really a huge period of time to see this huge advances and to actually, if you dig deeper, most of these huge advancements were only in the last 2 or 3 years. So the very first serious attempt that I'm aware of for automating software, writing software, with a company that is called Kite. Has anyone heard of this company, Kite? No, fair enough, because actually it's shut down. It's no longer working, and it will be interesting to see why it actually had to close its business. So this was like the very first serious attempt that I'm aware of in 2015, where they actually launched some ML-based code completion platform. And it was basically basic IDE where it auto completes some features for you and it tries to write code for you. Obviously, it didn't work, and we will see actually why it didn't work. It's a very interesting thing. And then in 2018, Microsoft started trying to make these Copilot attempts, or maybe like they started working on it before that. 2018, they made some attempts, and then in 2021, that was the first serious attempt from Microsoft. And then, of course, in 2022, late 2022, we saw all of the everything flipped on its head. ChatGPT came out, Code Whisperer came out, and then 2023 you got Cursor, and then things like Livin and Claude, and all of these tools. So things accelerated since 2023, and it's not a secret why things accelerated since 2023. Any guesses why things accelerated so much? There was like no progress for 8 years from 2015 to 2023, and all of a sudden in the last 2 years it was just booming in on these tools, um, because of mostly, yes, GenAI, and more specifically transformers technology that made these models much more powerful. Attention is all what you need, and yeah. all of these details. Now, I want to go back to this company that no one have heard of it, which is called Kite. If you actually do a Google search and say like Kite code completion or something like that, you will get a link to this page. And this page say like it's saying farewell, and this was actually 2021. Actually, even the domain is up for sale. If you see actually why they had to close their business, you see that they're saying like we failed to deliver our vision of AI assisted programming because we were 10 plus years too early to the market. This is actually a very spot on. They started this 2020, 2015, and they actually were like 8 to 9 years early to the market. And indeed, the tech was not ready at that point in time. And they actually pointing out to GitHub Copilot, which was in 2021, or like I think this was updated at some point, but at some point in 2022, it was not that good. It only made serious progress once ChatGPT came out, and they keep explaining all the attempts that they made. So I'm not really interested in all the details, but just like this line is very interesting, and this line where they're actually referring to this first attempt from Copilot not being successful is very interesting. So the only reason I'm bringing up this story is that to appreciate the technologies that we had. Like only 2015, 2017, some companies went out of business because they didn't have access to these technologies, and it indeed shifted the whole scene and how we approach automation altogether. So so basically, this is like the timeline for the progress, and this is the impact of the technology that we have. So there are tons of ways you can actually use GenAI to help you increase productivity and to help make things more efficient on your side. Of course, it's not like a single option, or it's not like a single way of using and utilizing GenAI. So I want to hear people's thoughts on the chat, please. Similar to let's see. Yeah, so basically similar to what I have mentioned earlier, like if can people let me know how they use GenAI to increase their productivity as software engineers or people who write code? Let's see. Devian AI, okay. Meta GPT, okay. What else? Used to write boilerplate code and unit tests. Yep, great point. Cursor taps, okay. For basically automating a bunch of the software that you write. What else? What else people do? Get explanation. Great point. You have some code base and you try to figure out what it's doing, then you can do get explanation. What else? Using Lovable to build apps for you. Better test scripts, coding and reverse engineering existing libraries. Summarize what's happening in the code base. Yep, exactly. Yeah. So lots of brainstorming ideas. This is a great point. Yes. Generate documentation and presentation for basically the documentation. Yes. So basically, you can summarize the answers that people suggested into. You either use this to increase your speed. There's like a repetitive task, maybe we calling out here specifically the boilerplate code. You don't want to keep writing these. There's nothing interesting there. You can basically use GenAI to speed this up for you. If there's like feature delivery, probably the speed up will be less because this is something that may require your contribution more the boilerplate. You can improve the quality because you can even check for bugs or ask the virtual assistant to check bugs for you. So the end line is the bottom line is you increase quality either by using like some suggestions from the AI, or you ask it to help you write specific features. And as folks mentioned, sometimes you don't fully understand the code base and you need some suggestions from the GenAI assistant to explain the code base for you. And as a result, if you focus on the things that require your attention, you will focus more on more interesting stuff and your productivity will increase. So these basically are the productivity patterns that I have seen. There's one caveat here is you have to always stay, in my opinion, you always have to stay in the driver's seat. You should always check the code that is getting suggested by the AI, because at the end of the day, yes, we have an access to a huge and interesting technology, but it's not like a free pass. Like you should double check this because models do make mistakes. They work in many cases, but in some cases they do not work, and you don't want these cases to be on the critical path. So just double check to make sure that the quality that you get is basically you combine your experience and expertise with the LLM's quality or responses to increase the quality of the final response. So the reason, or basically on almost all of these scenarios that we discussed, you can see that with LLMs coupled with tools or coupled with additional APIs or additional tools at its disposal, we move from having like a linear progress for a task where you basically do A and then do B and then do C, and we allow to more of like adding this loop of doing thinking or reasoning about the input that you're getting. So this is basically how humans also address and handle complex tasks. If you get a complex task, you may basically need to think a little about it. You need to break it down into smaller tasks. You may need to set it to milestones or like accumulate or like consecutive steps, or you may need to do a bit of research. And this is basically why LLMs combined with tools are very effective than just having an LLM. And basically, for folks who are not familiar what I mean by tools, you can think of them as just calling APIs. So if you actually give LLMs, which are basically the core technology behind all of these IDEs or GenAI features that you use, under the hood there are LLMs, which are huge machine learning models, plus access to some tools or access plus APIs. This mix allows the end-to-end experience to look like it's doing reasoning, to look like it's doing some thinking, and to look like it's doing some research under the hood. And that actually improve the quality a lot and also unlocks new capabilities for LLMs. So that's basically the new innovative part or the new part on why LLMs are very transformative in the way that it automates tasks for you. So basically, just to summarize what we have talked about, you can basically have like layers of improvements. You can improve your productivity through writing boilerplate code, or you can just like fixing small issues, or you can go one step higher and you work on integrating multiple components with each other, as we will see in the demo. Or you can basically work on higher abstract layer, which you basically write your problem description, for instance, and you ask the GenAI tools to create a flow or a skeleton for you. We'll see some examples that hopefully will make things a little bit more concrete. So again, the whole idea is you can use different tools. One of the tools can basically look at your implementation and suggest some small fixes or some small examples to follow. Some higher level tools work on creating larger pieces of code or larger units or larger modules for you. Or you can do something like Lovable or Firebase, where you can actually ask the model or ask the GenAI to do an end-to-end app for you. Of course, you will have to step in and fix some of the issues, but at least it will give you a good starting point. Or you can use some resolvers, which is basically saying there's some issue in my production system. Here are the logs, here are the source code, suggest some fixes for me. You can see that as we go more to the right, there's like a higher level task rather than a very well scoped tasks. As we go higher and higher, we get like more abstract tasks. So I want to hear people's thoughts. Do you think LLMs or GenAI in general will work better for cases on the left where basically it's well scoped and well defined, or it will work much better on the right hand side where it's higher level tasks that require multiple components to be processed together? Let's see what people think. Some folks say left, some folks say both. Left is easier. Works better when well defined. Left specific examples. Okay, so most people agree that it works much better if you give it a well defined task. And some folks are saying maybe it will work well for both. The quality vary, actually, to be honest. It's more consistent on the left-hand side. It's more consistent if you create a well-defined task. Things get a little bit interesting depending on the difficulty of the problem and the quality of the model that you use on the right-hand side. And the problem was creating a little bit more abstract or asking LMs or GenAI to solve a bit more abstract tasks for you, is that you don't know whether you can trust the output or not. That's the thing. And you have to step in and read everything. And at that point, there's like, is it easier for me to write everything from scratch, or is it easier for me to debug or reread someone else's code? So it's an open question. There are tons of research actually on showing the productivity gain that you get by varying the task size and the type of the task that you create. So there are some research on software engineers' productivity that I would suggest reading a little bit about it. And the reason I'm bringing this up is, if you're going to use these tools, and you should be actually exploring using them, you should know the pros and cons. You should have these as one of the tools in your toolbox. It's not the only thing, and you should know when to use this and when to go ahead and write the feature yourself. What I have personally seen is that there are people on the two ends of the spectrum. On one end of the spectrum, one extreme, people pretending that this technology doesn't exist and we're still in 2020. Nothing is there. Keep doing what we're doing. Obviously, this is putting them at a disadvantage. And there are other people who think that AI will take everyone's job and we will no longer write code. I don't think both ends of the spectrum are right. I think a middle ground where you know that these tools exist and where you know what are their capabilities, you know how to use them to improve your productivity, is the best balance that we should learn how to strike it. That's my own personal opinion. Some people agree, some people disagree, but I just wanted to share these with folks. Okay, so let's see some examples on the tools and that cover different layers or different level of abstraction. You get like some of the IDE integrations on the left hand side here, where you can basically do in editor code generation and things like, I think almost everyone would be familiar with these, Copilot, Cursor, and Windsurf and whatnot. We basically have a browser, an editor, and you ask the model to suggest some fixes or implement some features in the browser. A little bit higher level platforms or tools that you can use, which gives you a little bit of conversational aspect. So it's basically a dialogue-based coding assistant. And again, you can put Claude, ChatGPT, Grok, Perplexity, and Gemini under this category because they are really tuned for conversational aspect. You can ask follow-up questions; they will know how to answer you, which is a little bit higher level, a little bit further from the code itself. And you have one thing that's a little bit higher and tailored for software development, things like Lovable and Firebase Studio, where you basically ask it to do the application end-to-end for you, which we are going to see how it works today. Or we ask it for like more of like autonomous ops and debugging for you, like Debian and Autodev. Again, as I mentioned, to reiterate the idea, the higher you go in this, or the more right you go in this table, the more abstraction you get and the more questionable the quality will be. Everyone agrees that on the left-hand side, the quality is much higher, and there's always a trade-off between like trade-off and balance that you want to strike. Okay, so I wanted to know how which of these tools are people are familiar with. So just write on the name on the chat what tool are you familiar with here. See Cursor. Okay, so some folks familiar with Cursor, Lovable, Cursor. Some folks are not familiar with anything. Cursor and Google Firebase, Windsurf, none of them. Cursor, Lovable, all. That's nice. Lovable, Cursor, and Windsurf, Google Firebase, all, none. Okay, so the answer is all over the place. Some folks are familiar with everything. Few folks are familiar with everything. Some folks are not familiar with any of these. The vast majority of the answers go basically either number one to Cursor, and the second one is basically Google Firebase Studio. The first tool that I became aware of was actually Cursor, and then Firebase Studio, and then Lovable, and then Windsurf, and I know a little bit about Replit. So different tools, more or less, they do the same thing. I don't expect everyone to be familiar with every one of these tools. It's nice at least to know the names of these tools and what they do. And you can also try them. Some of them are, almost all of them are for free, at least the basic version. Once you use them more, they will ask you to pay some money. We will see a demo that we will basically use Lovable, we will use Google Firebase Studio, and we will use also Claude to suggest something for us. Okay, so also, like, I shared my thoughts on how GenAI can be useful and this spectrum that I talked about and my views on this, but I want also to hear people's thoughts. It's fine to say yes, fine to say no, fine to say not sure. I'm not gonna judge it, but I want to hear. I'm very curious to hear people's thoughts. So, do you think AI tools can add some superpower for developers, or is it super hyped, or maybe yes, maybe no? Okay, there's a consensus that it is useful. There's one answer that is not sure, which is fair. Helps a lot. Maybe one answer that says B or C. Some answer that says not sure. So I see a little bit. I personally gain around 50 to 60% again. It's only thing that got me to want to write code again. Oh, that's really interesting. Okay, that's cool. Okay, so I see some people actually going back to writing code just because of these tools. So that's really interesting. Thanks for sharing this, actually. Developers need to spend time understanding the code and recommendation. Each developer will decide what works best for them. Okay, so I think actually people's view are very reasonable, very balanced. Some people say yes, it's going to be useful, and that's fair. Some people still have some concerns, like myself, where basically people have to know what they are doing. It's not just taking this copy pasted job is done, launch the application, and go home. So I'm glad that people are actually giving like a balanced view on this. There are tons of debates on the internet, some videos, some Reddit posts to debate this. So I don't think we can settle this in today's session, but I just wanted to get some discussion going on with people. And related to this, okay, so there are, as I mentioned earlier, there are some some research that shows that on different benchmarks that measure different things, either improving people's ability to write code or improving people's ability to understand existing code. Some research has been done, and it shows the jump that software developers had. There are other studies actually also take into account the novelty of the programming language. So C++ has been there for a while. It's different than a relatively newer programming language, or the difficulty of the task, and it tries to show the impact of this or how changing the difficulty of the problem or the programming language changes this boost in the performance. Again, different studies from different companies will show different numbers. I just wanted to highlight that these numbers are basically depending on whom you ask. Some people say like it's 90%, some people say like it's 20%. Again, there are lots of nuances in how these tools will improve your productivity, and it's on you to decide what is the right tools and what is the right thing for you. You will hear lots of catchy phrases like what GitHub CEO says around like Copilot will write 80% of the code. I personally tend to take these with a grain of salt. It is definitely directionally correct, like that we will have tools and Copilot or all of these tools writing more and more code. I'm a bit skeptical about this 80% number, but there's a point that AI will write more and more code. Whether this is as high as 80% or lower is a question, but it's definitely going to happen that it will increase. Also, you get some exaggerated statements by Anthropic CEOs saying like, oh, 6 months, everyone will go home, will be out of jobs. This is definitely exaggeration. But the only thing to look for is there are automation. You should utilize this for yourself. You should utilize this for your gain, for your benefit, and you should be really good at knowing how to use these. Okay, there are like some different tools like OpenAI Codex or Google Jules, which different tools to automate these processes. I'm not gonna dig deeper into these. And the last question that I have for people before we jump into the demo is getting people's thoughts on how long do you think a developer needs to build in the main pieces of a basic app using AI tools. Again, like the main pieces, I'm not saying about taking this end to end and correctly testing and deploying it, just the main skeleton of the main pieces. Okay, so most people are saying around minutes, some folks are saying around hours. Um, and I think it's because I stressed on the fact that it's the main pieces, right? How long would you think it will take that same person to launch this application? So now let's say that my guess is you can build, that's only my guess, is you can build a piece, the main skeleton in a few minutes. But it's a completely different story when we say like how long it would take to to take this to production. At least days or weeks, right? At least days or a week to go there, right? Or maybe even a lot of time. I will say yeah, I will agree with a lot of time because of scaling, because of authentication, because lots of things. And this is my opinion, where these tools can be useful for building the initial version, for helping you to build a minimum viable product or a proof of concept, and then taking this into to production and launching and scaling this is on you as an engineer, where you have to step in and help a lot. So that's just like my thoughts, but I also wanted to get people's opinion on this and see lots of reasonable answers out there. Okay, so let's try to fulfill this guess and see if whether we will be able to build the basic. Let's take this as a test and see whether we'll be able to build like the main functionality of an application in few minutes or not. So what I'm gonna do is I will try to build a travel app, or I will pretend that it's me trying to build it for the first time. Of course, I have some scenario in my mind, and I have some setup. So basically, I'm trying to build a travel app using some AI tools. I'm usually bad at writing prompts, especially prompts for tools that generate code. So I'm going to actually make it like a two-step process where I would ask Claude to write the system requirements for me, to write the main feature that should be there. And then I will use Lovable, I will use Firebase Studio to build these applications for me. I'll put them on GitHub, and maybe we will continuously, let's see, and then we'll basically try to see if we can make improvements to the app or not. So we'll try to come up with dynamic list of requirements, and we'll see how this will go. So let me actually switch tabs to Claude here that I have here. And let me try to write a prompt that basically asking Claude to suggest some prompts for us. So I'll say something like create a prompt for a maybe low code, because we know that it will go to some of these tools that are low code app to create maybe a React based, if it will be implemented in React based website. And this website is basically for planning vacations. The output should be a paragraph. I don't want to have like a very long output with high level use cases and requirements. So let's hit enter and see what Claude will tell us we should be doing. Let me see if I'm sharing the right screen. Okay, I'm sharing that screen. Okay, so it has a reasonably not too long prompt that says create React-based vacation planning website that enables user to research, organize, and book their dream trips. The platform should include core functionality by location, budget, details. Okay, so it just lists some of the feature that should be there. Additional requirement include responsiveness on the go, using authentication and whatnot. Okay, so I'm just going to take this copy paste and I'm going to try two different we're going to try two different tools. We're going to try Firebase Studio and we are going to try Lovable as well. So for folks who are not very familiar with these tools, it's basically, it looks like this. It's as simple as this, this on the screen here, where you basically ask it, what are the features that you want to build? So I'm going to paste it here. I'm asking it to do this for me. It will go ahead, it will load, try to create a prototype for you. While it's doing this, we'll do the exact same thing with Google Firebase Studio, which is trying to do exactly the same thing. You write your prompt and you say like prototype this with AI. This will take few minutes to finish. So while it's loading, I already run this before the session to avoid having you waiting and watching me writing prompts. And the main or the initial output from Lovable will look like this. I would say it looks a little fancy for UI. I'm not a UI, I'm not a front end person, but it looks nice. And I did the same thing with Google Firebase Studio. And to be honest, the UI for Google Firebase Studio is not as impressive as the one who's Lovable, but I think this can be improved. So the first impression is that Lovable creates a better UI. One question in the chat that says, how did you come up with the prompt? So what I did is I didn't come up with a prompt and Bad was prompting. So I went to Claude. Claude is something similar to ChatGPT. You can do the same with ChatGPT or Gemini. And I asked it actually to write a prompt for me for low-code application or low-code platform to create an application, a web application for managing vacations. So I just was super lazy and asked it to do for me. Okay, so it seems that Google Firebase Studio, the live prompt that we tried did finish a little bit earlier than Lovable. And it's basically, so this is me trying to recreate what I had before the session to show you the details. Here it's suggesting the colors and the layout and the format. I'm gonna take the default suggestions and I'm going to prototype this app. Which basically will take a bit of time to generate what I have already shown you here. The same for Lovable. It's going to take a bit of time. It's actually a bit slow. But it's actually, the nice thing is that it's showing you the thought that it's doing. So it's basically saying, this is my design, and these are the component that I will have, and these are the changes that I'm making. So it tries to give you visibility into what it's doing, which is really nice. If you look at Firebase Studio, it's not giving you all of this visibility into the intermediate thought that it's doing. So again, this is a comparison between the two things. I think so far Lovable is showing better UI, and the fact that it's showing the thought is actually a very big plus for me. Okay, let's see if any of these finished. They haven't finished, so let's not wait for them. Let's continue progressing on the demo that I pre-prepared. So if you basically see this UI, you like it or you don't like it, either way, you basically want to see the code. So you can basically switch to the code. Now we are at Firebase Studio, so you can basically switch to the code and say like, it will take a moment to switch. Let me maybe refresh this. Oh, so it's trying to set up my workspace, which is slow. Okay, so it's trying to set up the search, the workspace, which is gonna take a bit of time. Let's see the code for Lovable. I can switch the code to the code here, and this one is faster, so that's another bonus point. So you can see all the implementation. You can navigate through them. Of course, we're not going to debug every single thing here, but it's basically showing you the implementation, and you can make suggestions and changes. And the other thing that you can do is syncing with GitHub. So let's actually see this. So from Lovable, what you can do is say, okay, I like this. I want to push it to GitHub. So here, if you want to connect to GitHub, you say sync your project with GitHub. And then basically what you have to say is connect to GitHub. and you collect on this. I have my profile already set up. If it's your first time, it will ask you to set up your profile. And now I already have this pre-set up, so it skipped some of the steps, but basically it pushed this to the GitHub repo that I have. And this is the commit that I had 2 hours ago, and now it's just updating the GitHub repo with README and all of the details. We're going to repeat these steps with the brand new project that has just finished now. So this is the initial prompt that we wrote to Lovable that was loading. It just reproduced more or less the same steps. And what we're going to do is connect this new project to GitHub. So this will probably show us all the steps. Hopefully it will get us to see the details. Okay, so just connect it to GitHub, and this is the only commit that exists. Maybe, I think so. Yep. So this is 5 minutes and 2 minutes ago. This is our brand new commits. So this is the new project that Lovable finished, and you can always switch to the source code, and you can inspect maybe the pages, and you go to the index, and you can see basically all the details here. Let's see if there's anything interesting that we can see. Okay, so I'm not an expert in TypeScript, but it seems to be doing a good job, at least on the front end. Okay, so let's switch back to Firebase Studio and see where it's at. So this is a new project that was created, and it seems to have created basic UI, which is missing some of the images. So we can always prompt it and say like update the UI. It is asking me for my Gemini API key because it's going to use under the hood the Gemini LLM to generate some of the to generate the LLM code. Basically is using Gemini, so we should be copy pasting this. The way to set up Gemini API key is through a Google GCP project, which requires a little bit of integration with Google GCP. So this is one thing, and the other thing is switching to the code. Let's see if it will do it for us. Yep, it did. So let's see the source. Let's see if there's anything interesting here. Okay, so that sounds reasonable. It hard coded some of the locations, which is not ideal. We'll look into how we can fix this, and we should be able also to sync this with GitHub. So the syncing with GitHub feels a little bit similar to Visual Studio. The UI looks a little bit similar, and you can basically say, I want this to be initial commit, and you're gonna say publish sign. It says like it wants to sign with GitHub. I will say allow, copy and continue to GitHub. I want to use this account. Let's see, and now it's asking me to copy paste the code that will be showed somewhere here. I'm gonna copy paste this. I'm going to go here again. I'm going to paste this for authentication, and it doesn't like that. Let me copy paste it again. Sorry, give me a moment. Here we go. Continue. Okay, yep, that's me. Authorize. Write the password. Continue. And it did push this to GitHub. So if we go here, it should show us a link to the GitHub project. I'll say I want to go to the private repository. I don't want it to be public. And it already exists. The same name exists. So maybe we can call it Studio 2 private. All right. So click open in GitHub, open it here, and the commit is fresh. And this is basically the initial commit that I had a few days ago, but this is the new commit for the initial prototype. So this is basically a simple workflow for pushing this on to GitHub. And let's say for now, I wanted this to be integrated with some database. So we saw that it was actually here in this tab. It's basically doing file, putting everything in memory, loading, saving the cities in memory, and we don't like this. We want to connect to a database. I'm not sure if folks are familiar with Firebase or not, but it's actually a suite of applications that allows you to host applications on Google servers. So it's not only a studio or AI studio, but in addition to this, it allows you to connect to databases. So if you go actually to Firebase, Google Firebase, you can go to your project and then you can basically create an app. I already created an app before the call, and from that app, you can basically copy paste the configuration on how to connect to it. So this is basically just creating a Google Firebase Studio so that you can connect to the database, and then you can go back to the assistant here and say like connect to Firebase Studio and use these configs. We will paste the configs and it will take a bit of time. So it will try to change the implementation. Hopefully it will do the trick for us. Yep, it's just updating some of the changes. And it says now I have updated the Firebase configuration. Of course, we will have to go back to the code and inspect it to make sure that it did update. It's not just hallucinating. And this is, again, ties back to the fact when I mentioned you should always double check the implementation. You shouldn't be taking it for granted. And let's see in the apps, let's see the source. Sorry, I got lost here. Okay, it's actually, that's interesting. So let's see. I'm not able to locate. Okay, so it created new pages for me. I will have to dig a little bit deeper to see exactly where this has been used. There are lots of files, so I'll have to go back to double check the code. So we don't have to check it in the call, but again, it's a step that we have to be doing before we say yes, it's integrated correctly with Firebase Studio. But we can see that it started to create some files with the configs. So that's for Firebase Studio. If we try to do let's see, yeah. So if we try to do, let's try to do the same thing with Lovable. So let's say that we want to go back to Lovable here. We're gonna close this tab. Let's actually close the coding tab altogether. For some reason, it's showing the Plank app. So give me a moment. I think I messed up something. Maybe I need to refresh this. Let's see if I refresh it, it will show the new view or not. Give me a moment. I'm not sure what happened. Let's see. For some reason, it was showing initially the app, but when we created the other tab and we wrote the prompt, for some reason it shows the empty. Okay, so it's having a unsuccessful build. So let's try to fix this. Okay, interesting. There's unsuccessful build here. That's why the view is empty, which is a good exercise on when GenAI fails. So then I think about Lovable, that it actually shows you all the changes that it made. So there was some broken build, and it did actually tell you that, hey, there's a problem with the build. Do you want to fix it or not? So it did fix it for us. We have to see it to know what actually happened. But anyways, now we have a view that is working. That's nice. We can also connect and push this to GitHub. And then I think we have already went through this, right? Yeah, we did go through the GitHub integration. Now, the other thing is, if we try to connect this connect with Firebase Studio, and we do the same thing, we'll see what it will do. Will take a bit of time. Let's see what it will say. Okay, so it's saying that you want to connect with Firebase, but you actually connected with Supabase. This is because I already connected this before the call with Supabase. So if I scroll all the way up here, when I asked it to connect with Supabase for the first time, here, let's see when I did this up here. Okay, let's, yep, here. It says, I see that you want to add connection to Firebase. Um, I recommend is it has a native integration with Supabase, and you should be using Supabase basically. And this is one of the disadvantages of Lovable, that it didn't want to create code for me to connect to Firebase. It forced me to connect with Supabase, which is another database connection, and they are making it extremely easy to connect with Supabase. If you just click on this link and say, I want to connect with Supabase, and you click on configure, it will do connect with it. So now this project is already set up, so I can't show you how to connect with it. But if we want, we can actually retry to create this project here. Let's actually redo this step again to show people how the connection happens. So let me create another project. I will run this in the background. So I will repeat these steps here, which is going to take a bit of time, but I just wanted to show you how the connection with Supabase would happen. Hopefully it will be a little bit faster. In the meanwhile, I will go through some of the questions on the Q&A. So I will just present this tab to see the updates. Let's see if people have questions. Okay, here's what Lovable built for me. Okay, some folks are actually sharing what Lovable has built with them. Yeah, that's awesome. Let's put it on the screen. Oh, that's awesome. That really looks like nice UI. That's really nice. Do you want to share the prompts with us, David? Thanks for sharing this, by the way. This is really nice. Let's see. A recent survey shared these AI tools slow down the users by at least 90%. Yeah, thanks for bringing this up. And this is actually similar to what I mentioned earlier around, you have to know what you're doing with these tools. If you're using them for end to end without actually knowing what you're doing, it's definitely going to slow you down. So this is why I stressed on the fact at the beginning that you should know what you're doing. Otherwise, you will be shooting yourself in the foot. See what else people are asking about. It's almost a moot point with no deterministic nature of GenAI in coding versus existing coding assistant add-on. Yes, the non-determinism is a challenge, and that's why I think we should be keeping this in mind, that there's undeterministic nature. We have to account for this. Let's see if there are other questions. Let's see, these are answers. What are the best AI tools for site reliability engineers in practice? I think one of the tools that we listed is, let's see, because I don't remember the name. We had one of the tools listed here. Let's see. Resolvers is one of the tools. I haven't used it, so it could be interesting to give it a try. But I haven't used it, to be fair. Okay, so let's see if this thing finished or not. Okay, so it didn't finish. It's taking a bit of time. Rohan, how long do we have before we have to switch?
You can take your time, Ahmed. If you think it's going to take some time, I can quickly walk people through the interview starts and offerings and all. But it's okay.
Okay, so okay,
Then
do
you can
you
have
want
like
to take over now?
dedicated
Mhm.
10, 30, 40 minutes for your walkthrough, and if you can figure it out how to solve for it as well.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Will that work?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, do you want to take over for now, and then I
Cool.
can, if we have time at the end, I can reshare my screen.
Fair. I won't take more than 5, 7 minutes, I think. Just let me share my
Okay,
screen.
sure. I will stop sharing then. Yeah, thank you.
By the way, Emma, there's one question I think by Nicole in the chat. I'm not sure if you've picked it up, but you being an embedded engineer, I think they've asked how are companies actually using AI tools in their day-to-day work as of now.
So I think most of the cases that we're doing is around automating very well scoped tasks, which I think is a good balance. So we're not doing things like around write a prompt and the GenAI will do everything for you. We are not there yet, but maybe if you have like specific features that you want to implement or a specific ticket that you want to close, and you're a bit confused about the exact order or exact API that you should be using, and then you just basically take suggestions from GenAI assistants or tools, or maybe writing tests. This is something that I have seen also a lot. It has been very useful. It has been very effective if you do it this way, but I don't think most of the big techs are at a point where you can do an end-to-end integration. Yeah, we'll retry. We'll see if the GenAI will let us down again this time or not. So we'll give it another try. So I want to re-simulate the scenario that I mentioned earlier, where basically I will try to get Lovable to connect to Firebase Studio, and we'll see what it will do. So this is a brand new project. You can see this is the only prompt, the initial prompt that we had. The UI looks good. It just told me the plan that it had, and it gave me the option to see the code. Now I will ask it to connect to Firebase Studio, and I will copy paste the configs, and we'll see what it will say. So it's thinking now. Let's see. Loading. So here, yeah. So here's pushing back, saying like you want to connect to Firebase, but this has a native Supabase integration, and it's just trying to sell it to me. And it says you can just click on the green Supabase button, and this is basically a upselling that they are offering to me. Before the call, I already set up my Supabase account, and all what I have to do in this call is just clicking on this green link and says like connect to it. Let's just connect to the project. I already have projects that has been created before. I will create another one. I will go here to ask me what is the new project that you want to connect. I have an org already set up. I will say travel demo maybe. So this is a new project that I should be using, and I should be creating a new password for this, and then create new project. It will take a bit of time, not too long, hopefully. I will just update the password. Okay, so it just created a new project on Supabase for me. Now I will go back and I will say connect to this project. Let's see if it will have this up. So this is still loading. The travel demos is still loading. So we will wait for it to finish the setup. Is there an echo? Can people hear me good, or is there an echo?
Not for me.
Okay, just let me know if there's any echoes, because some folks are saying there's an echo here. Okay, so this is ready. Let's switch back and see if it will see the updated project or not. So I have this previous project. I don't want to connect to it. I want to connect to a brand new project. So now this is saying connecting. So it just created a project in Supabase. It didn't create tables yet. It didn't create anything. So this is now connected. Let's go back to the conversation and see what we can do. If you have users log in, okay. So maybe we can say store any in-memory trips in this database and see if there's anything in memory that it should be writing there. Depending on the implementation, if there's anything, then it will suggest the tables. I didn't look deeper into the implementation. Okay, so it says like I will create a database for you that will I will write the trips to it. So I will just say approve, and then it suggests a database changes or a database schema to me, which is basically called trips date table. And okay, oh, what's going on? Okay, let's see what that. So it's basically suggesting the table name and the schema for this table. I'm not gonna go through it in details, but basically, it will just create that table for me. Okay, there's some security warning. I'm not gonna go through all the warnings in detail. We're just gonna approve it for now, but usually you should be reading the code. But since this is just a demo, we'll just approve any suggestions that it makes. Okay, now it has the table created. I think it tried to label created. Okay, say like okay. So are the trips, will the trips be saved now? Will the trips be saved to that table, or do we need to make any changes? Uh, okay, so it is updating the app. So let's see what is the issue with that. Okay, there are errors. Let's try to fix them. Let's roll the logs. Okay, we got a bunch of errors. Let's see. So it's detected some errors and it's trying to fix them. Let's see if this will fix the issue now or not. All right, bunch of errors. Let's and wait for it, and maybe in the meanwhile we can look at uh, the database that has been created for us. So basically, if I switch back to the project that I just created, you can see that the project has this table, it has the schema, but now we are pending on waiting for Lovable to fix the issue for us. So okay, it did make the fix. I have no idea what was the error and how it fixes it, but it will require some it will require like reading the code. I can't emphasize this enough. That in real job, you shouldn't take the suggestion from the LLM for granted. You should take them as suggestions. You should take them as way of speeding things up. You shouldn't be just approving similar to what I did. But I'm hoping that the subtleties and the issues that we saw during the demo gives you a realistic overview on what to expect. It's not like really a single push button. It is more of an iterative process. And now it failed again, which is interesting. But yeah, I guess it will take a bit of iterations to make sure that the application is stable and working end to end. So yeah, I was just saying that I'm hoping it gives you a realistic idea on the nuances and the subtleties and the issues that these tools have. It's not, again, a single push button. Okay, that's all what I had for the demo. I want to allocate some time to go through people's questions. So there are some questions in the chat. There are some questions in the Q&A. Let's go through the chat first. Can you give back a solution architecture so you have a general idea? So there's a question whether there's a question about like whether it can give you like a general idea about the overview of the architecture that the application is using or developing. I think one of the things that you can do is asking for a design, which is different than asking for code. Most of these applications have like conversational aspects, so you can ask for more of a design and making a decision, not really on just the code. So you can definitely ask for general idea for the design rather than jumping directly to the code. How do we run this code and see how the pages flow? Do we need to spin up our own compute before we get a feel of the live website? No, I think you can actually run it, but you have to set up few things and connecting it to the database, which will take a bit of time. As we have seen, connecting to the database is a little bit tricky. Also, authentication is a little bit tricky, but you can do live testing on these apps. But of course, it will not scale. It will not basically be as scalable and production ready. Did you deploy the code directly to GitHub, and how did you get the public URL for the prototype? So yeah, you basically can deploy it directly to the GitHub. I've It's not deployment; it's more of pushing the code to the GitHub, and it's pushing the code to GitHub and through the. Let me share my screen again. Um, Let me actually share my entire window because there's another question. So if I basically want to connect this to GitHub, I click on this and they'll say connect to GitHub and to ask for my permission, and I can basically pull the code there. As for how to get the public URL, I think this URL you just copy paste it, but I have to publish it and share it with people first. So if I don't publish this, you will not be able to access the link. It will give you like access denied. So this is the link, and then basically I have to publish it first so others can access it. Let's see. let's see. Can you go back to the slide listing all the AI tools? Yeah, for sure. Let me reshare my screen again. I'm not sure what slide exactly you're talking about, but there's this slide and there's another one, which I think this one. So I'll leave it on the screen if some folks want just to take notes on that or just know the names of these tools. How can we get a recording for these sessions? I will let Rohan answer this one because I'm not sure actually.
Folks, the recordings are not available immediately. We do share those, but after a span of like 30, 60 days, depending on if you want to rerun a masterclass live or not. So once we, for lack of a better word, retire our masterclass, then the recording get available to folks.
Thank you. There's one really good question on the chat that I think I missed. What is your preferred mix of tools in your day-to-day? I'm gonna give you like my honest suggestion, which is I usually do not do the end-to-end app building using like just give me the whole application in a single prompt. What I do is tailoring specific prompts for specific tasks. So basically, I have a specific query for SQL that I'm not so sure how to do the proper join or this SQL magic. So I can take suggestions from GenAI tool, or I have like a nested Pro tool or nested JSON object that I'm not able to wrap my head around it. Then I'll take a suggestion from GenAI. Or there's a failing test and I have no idea why it's failing. Then I take some suggestions from the GenAI. So regardless of the tool name, this is the style that I personally prefer, but this is just my own personal opinion. Do you have any comparison with Cursor versus Lovable? Which one is good in terms of price and capabilities? I think one thing about Cursor that I like is that it's an IDE. So you still have the option to switch modes, writing regular code like we used to do, or taking suggestions from the Gen AI or from the tools, sorry, or from the assistant. Lovable is a more of a web browser, so just like I feel Cursor is more preferable for me. Can this model of code generation be used for other applications or integration of multiple open source applications? How is the versioning done in generated code? Again, this is not meant to be like end-to-end life cycle. It's just like a step to kickstart your coding or your project. I don't think it's there yet where you can maintain versions. I don't think it's there that yet where you can actually integrate with bigger systems. There's a limitation, of course, and to do this. That's why I said at the beginning, maybe you can think of it as kick off your project development, creating a skeleton for you, instead of having like the whole workflow living there. I don't think we are there yet. And this is one of the advantages for Cursor, right? Because you can have larger systems really set up, and then you can, for specific pieces, for specific tasks, you can integrate with GenAI. Another question about comparing Lovable building application tools using anything. I didn't use the other tool, Sumant, so I'm not really. I don't know. I don't know how does it compare to the other tool. I will explore it. Thanks for sharing, but I haven't used it. If other folks have experience with the anything build app, let us know your thoughts. Have you tried Bolt.new? No, I haven't tried it. Any feedback that you want to share with us about it? If you want to add or make code changes to the application running in prod, are you fully dependent on AI? No, you can. As I've shown you, we created pushes to GitHub. We have the code living on GitHub. We can pull it to our classical IDE and work from there. So it's basically just like a step to start the whole process. Let's see. If you have not tried it, you should try Claude Code. Yeah, Claude Code is really good. I did try it on different, a little bit complex tasks. It worked well for, again, well-scoped tasks, but for things that required integration with multiple sources, there was a bit of hallucination. Okay, let's see. One more question. I tried something like this before, and the final app was totally bad. I had to start from scratch and never found really purposeful speed accuracy. Have you ever been successful at this with functioning full developed app? Again, no, I haven't used this for end to end in production, and I don't think I agree with you that I don't think building end to end is maintainable and relying fully on the Gen AI to do that for you. I think it's either the most benefit that I got from using Gen AI is either for like where I have no idea where to start, and it just gives me like a good skeleton to get started with, or a very well scoped tasks. But if you want to rely fully on it for vibe coding, basically, I don't think it will work, and I wouldn't rely fully on it end to end. Let's see. Do you use these tools in your real-time projects? How much percentage of these tools are used in real-time work at Google? So as I mentioned earlier, like I use GenAI tools for well scoped tasks, not for the whole project end to end. So that's the most benefits. So that's the most gain that can get when I use them for well scoped tasks as opposed to end to end projects. Okay, cool. Any other questions? Okay, I guess that's it. Ron, any final notes from your side?
Nothing from me, Ahmad. I think well spot on time. I think like really thank you so much for taking this up. Yeah, like I said, like we really appreciate you taking these master classes and really like your delivery. Personally, I think I really love your delivery a lot. But that being said, folks, the poll is still live. If you want to know more about our offerings, if you have any question about our offerings, happy to give you any details. Apart from that, I think it was pleasure having you over here. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you.
Uh, David, I think your classes are really more for foundational computer science and real apps for corporations. I'm not sure though. Again, I'm not sure the context in which you're texting this as well, but no, it's not really foundational computer sciences. And these master classes, again, the topic varies. Like I said, next week it will be a completely different one. The week after that would be more around engineering managers and leadership principles. But anyways, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be ending this masterclass soon. Let me know